Hello YouTube, and welcome to the first ever video of my channel. Welcome. So my name is Daniel. I am an environmental educator in the Western New York area, and I have the best job in the world, and that is I get to teach people, mostly students or campers, people of the public, about the wonders of the outdoors and nature. I get to take them on hikes, build survival shelters, look for animals, go bird watching. It's just a great time. And I thought I'd expand that passion by sharing my love for the outdoors with the internet, with all of you, to try and inspire more of you to get outside and appreciate the awesomeness of wildlife and our earth. Now, as much as some of the videos of this channel will include going for hikes and maybe some owl calling and other things, I thought the first thing I'd do is just introduce you to one of my turtles here. I currently have 3 turtles with another one on the way. But the one turtle I'm actually rehabbing, so I'll only have it for a few more days. I have a DEC wildlife rehab license. There's a box turtle. It was released into the nature preserve that I work at. I'm rehabbing it, and then the nature preserve where I work is going to keep it under its permit as an education animal. My license does not allow me to exhibit the animals that I'm rehabbing to the public, so I would expect that also entails putting it on YouTube. So I'm not going to show you the eastern box turtle, but I will show you this because this guy's mine right here. And this is the awesome Mata Mata turtle. This is one of my favorite program animals. You can see him right there. And if you don't know what a Mata Mata turtle is, you're kind of in for a shock because it really does not look like a turtle. Its head just looks like a leaf, really. Now, the Mata Mata turtle is native to South America, around the Amazon basin, and it probably has the best camouflage of any turtle or any animal you'd ever see. Now, this guy isn't a forager like a lot of the turtles around here in Western New York. He is an ambush predator. The Mata Mata turtle's name literally means kill, kill. And that's because this guy is a carnivore, a hunter, an ambush predator. And what he does is he uses that amazing camouflage and sits so very still, just like he is. And when fish come by, just thinking maybe he's a leaf or something, he actually can expand his throat and strike at a super fast speed. And what that does is it creates a low pressure system, and it sucks that fish in, spits out the excess water, and swallows it whole. Now, an amazing adaptation of this Mata Mata is its ability to breathe in shallow water without having to move around. As you can see, that water level is not super high. It's just enough where he can stretch that super long neck out and take a breath of air. Now, that neck is so long, it doesn't fit in its shell. It's a side neck species, similar to like an African side neck turtle, where he just simply turns his neck to the side to kind of retreat his head back. Now, that nose, that extra long nose, is more like a snorkel, and it allows him just a little bit of extra length to be able to sit up and breathe. Now, the benefit of that is instead of swimming up to the top of the water, moving up to the top of the water to take a breath, he can just sit there and move slowly up towards the top, take a breath of air, and avoid being detected by fish. Now, I know their diet doesn't just limit itself to fish, but fish are the primary diet, so I will feed them live fish sometimes. But I do typically feed them frozen fish due to financial reasons. Buying a lot of live fish is expensive. And another thing too is a lot of pet stores, they're feeder fish, the rosy reds, the goldfish, they contain, I believe it's called thiominase. I may be pronouncing that wrong, but it's a chemical that doesn't allow turtles to break down vitamin B12, thiamine. And that's not good for the turtle. That can lead to paralysis, other issues, and eventually death. So buying fish that don't contain that, I'm going to call it a toxin, they're expensive. Mollies, guppies, things like that. They're also kind of pet fish. I don't really like using them as feeder fish, but I will every now and then. Now, the Mata Mata turtle typically doesn't require as big of a habitat as other turtles because it is so sedentary. He doesn't really move. At nighttime, he'll move a little bit, but typically he just sits there and waits. He doesn't really do too much. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean you can just throw it in a small bin. He does need a decent-sized habitat. One, just for water quality. The more water you have, the less polluted it'll be. It'll be more diluted. You can do less frequent water changes, save some time. Another thing too is they will move around every now and then, so you really want to give it a nice habitat. You want the water to be shallow enough that he can breathe without having to swim. As much as they absolutely love water, they are not very good swimmers. Some people will disagree with me and say they see the Mata Mata float to the top and to bask and to breathe, but I've read more reports that they neither bask nor breathe. So typically I'll have a UVB light up there, not just a UVA light. But he does not bask. Now what I have going on here is this watercolor. It's kind of yellow. You can't really see it through the camera, but what that is that's the tannins from all the leaves, these catappa leaves I put in there. I also have peat in my filter to lower the acidity of the water, but then I learned that peat takes a lot of time to replace itself in nature, so I will no longer be buying the peat. Now, because these guys love slow, stagnant water in the Amazon with a lot of detritus, dead leaves, branches, they are used to high tannin or tannin-rich water with a very low pH. So that makes keeping this turtle kind of difficult because I have to constantly maintain a pH of around 5.5, which is very acidic. So you can see who's sitting there. I'm trying to see if maybe he'll go up for a breath. And they're always smiling, which is pretty funny. Now, those little flaps you see underneath his face, a lot of people think that that's just simply added camouflage. Others think that those wiggling flaps may attract more fish. And others actually believe too that those are kind of sensory receptors, much like the whiskers or the barbels of a catfish. And it can kind of feel that prey coming by, and then lightning fast speed, it'll suck that prey in. Now I have a heater here to make sure that water temp's always around 80 degrees. Remember, they're from the Amazon, so even in the winter time, it's warm there. And that light, there's causing the air temp to be around 82, 84 degrees. If it's colder, he may get a respiratory infection. Don't want that. So they're very sensitive to water quality. Like I said, that pH always needs to stay around 5.5 or 6. I have some plants back there to help with ammonia removal. A lot of people have problems with Matamatas and they die, and I believe it's because they're either stressing it out. They don't like to be handled too much. So when I use them for programs, I make sure it's quick, and then it goes back in this temporary container. They love being able to have places to hide. I have not one, but I have 2 places. He can go under those logs, that kind of fake root system there, or he can go in his cave. His cave is his favorite spot. And I do believe it's simply the pH issue. The pH is too high. If they're using tap water, it may have a pH of 7.5 or even 8. So what I do to lower the pH is I add these leaves in there. They're releasing the tannins, lowering the pH, and I also use acid buffer from Seachum. It lasts a little longer than pH down. It's a little bit more consistent with the pH. Now I have a canister filter here, Cascade 1000, so it's made for 150 gallons. This is about 30 gallons of water. He's in a 40-gallon enclosure, and he'll quickly outgrow that, and eventually when he's full grown, he'll have like a 14-inch shell, the top of the shell, which is called the carapace, and he'll be in a 300-gallon stock tank eventually. So I talked about this turtle a lot, and although today isn't feeding day, I am going to feed him to show you guys. Now I'm not going to feed him any live fish because I don't have any with me today, but this Matamata associates these tongs with food. Now something very important is these are soft tongs, they're not metal ones, and that's because the Matamata will strike so fast he could injure himself on the metal tongs. So I use soft tongs like this. Now today I'm only going to feed him 2 pieces of shrimp because it's not his feeding day, but I did want to show you guys how they feed. So I have a piece of shrimp here in the tongs. I'm going to lower it in the water, and you can just see how slowly he reaches towards it. He's looking. Oops, I dropped it. Oh, he struck and missed at my tongs. Here we go. So he's looking at it. He's following it. Look how slow he is, though. He doesn't want to give himself away. And then, bang! Really fast. And now you can see how his mouth is kind of open. He's expelling that water so that he can swallow the shrimp whole. And did you see how he kind of gripped onto the tongs? That's why it's so important to have soft tongs like that so he doesn't hurt himself. I typically try to hold it like this so he doesn't grab onto it. Now, usually they don't feed just back to back. They don't feed back to back. I gotta give them a couple minutes to swallow that, and then I'll feed them another piece. So I thought at that time I'd just show you my other setup. Kind of a quick lesson right here. This is my setup for my Florida red belly turtle, and this red belly turtle did not belong to me until its owner released it and its leg was torn to ribbons by a snapping turtle. So I took it in, I took it to the vet. They gave me instructions to give it shots and clean up its wounds, and that's what I've been doing. But now that red belly belongs to me. Being a more mobile turtle that doesn't really sit still like the Matamata, it needs a big enclosure like this. And it's also a fairly decent sized turtle. He's pretty stressed out because he's being dry docked in there, so I am not going to put him on camera and stress out the poor red-bellied turtle. That red-bellied turtle's name is Glade because I constantly see them in the Everglades whenever I do go. And the Matamata turtle, because I'm a fan of irony, is named Viva, which is Spanish for live because its name is Spanish or Portuguese for kill. So I thought that was kind of funny there. So I'll feed him again, and in a moment I'll pick him up so I can show you just how camouflaged his shell is. Now in here, this is a little 40-gallon stock tank. I will soon be getting a baby, just a hatchling alligator snapping turtle to go into this tank. Now they're very tiny, and I'm gonna add some sand for substrate on the bottom. That's what the breeder says they love. And the only reason why I'm getting away with using a tank like this is because it is a hatchling. So this is definitely good enough. They're very similar to Matamatas, and when I do get him, I'll make a video. But eventually, he'll need a 1,000-gallon stock tank. So it's going to be a big project, but I don't have to worry about that for years. Oh, so the Matamata just took a breath and then went right back down. So I think it's time to give him the other piece of shrimp. I'll just try and drop it to see if he strikes, so you can kind of see how he sucks the prey in. So I'll just drop it in there. And I missed. That was not a good drop. So I'll pick it up with the tongs. We'll just bite these tongs without anything because he always thinks there's food in there. So here's the shrimp. He's moving so slow. Very slowly. You can see he doesn't want to get detected, and then bam, sucks it right in. You can see how his throat expands. And there he goes to swallow the prey whole. So wait for him to swallow that for a second. And guys, the thing I want to say, turtles are a lot of work and they live a long time. Many species, different species of box turtles and tortoises will live past 50 years. If you're not in for that whole commitment, please do not buy one. When you release them, they either die or they become invasive. They compete with native species. The red-eared slider is now established here in Western New York, and it is not from here. It's from pet releases. That red-bellied turtle is a perfect example, and so is the box turtle I'm rehabbing upstairs. Please do not release wild pets. If you cannot house them and afford them and clean up after them, turtles are very dirty, please do not buy one. I can't stress that enough as somebody who loves turtles and wildlife. So you can just see him how he's kind of spitting out that water to swallow that piece of shrimp. Now, I think the key, wow, look at that. You can see him just swallowing it all the way down. The key to turtles is varieties of food. You want to feed them different kinds. Now, it doesn't mean feed them anything. You got to look up, do extensive research on what foods they like, and then feed them variety. So I don't just give them shrimp. I give them frozen fish. I'll add some pellets in the frozen fish. I'll dust it with vitamin powder inside. So that is the Matamata turtle. So I'm going to slowly lift the cave and show you this guy's shell. And you can see that shell literally just looks like a sunken log, perfectly camouflaged. See him from the top of his head, looks just like a leaf. Looks just like a leaf. I'm not going to pick him up because I don't want to stress him out too much. I can in the next video, but not after he just ate. So I'm going to put him back there. And that is my Matamata turtle. So if you do have any turtle questions or anything, I will do my best to answer them. I'm definitely not an expert, but I do know a little bit from all my research. So expect outdoor videos, fishing videos. I may go on an owl prowl soon and try to talk with some barred owls, call them in, and talk about the barred owl. They're very common here in Western New York. So if you're an outdoorsman or you'd like to be and you want to learn about nature and teach me about nature as well, please subscribe and prepare for more videos. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day.